It's almost midnight, and somewhere above the ceiling, there's a sound, a soft scratching. Then it stops. A few minutes later, it starts again. Most people roll over and go back to sleep. It's just the wind, they tell themselves. Old houses make noise. But in millions of American homes, that sound isn't the wind. It's something that moved in without being invited and has already started remodeling the house from the inside, one bite at a time. This episode is about rats and mice, and why the damage they cause is often worse and stranger than people expect. Here's the biological detail that explains almost everything about this problem. A rodent's front teeth never stop growing, not for its entire life, which means it has to chew constantly just to keep them from growing too long to use. And rodent teeth are harder than you'd think, hard enough to gnaw through copper, iron, aluminum, and lead. Wood, drywall, PVC pipe, even cinder block are well within reach. Electrical wiring, with its soft plastic coating, is one of the easiest and most common targets. According to the EPA, rodents cause an estimated $20 billion in damage to homes, businesses, and farms across the United States every year. Not from one dramatic event, from millions of small, quiet acts of chewing, happening simultaneously in walls nobody's looking inside of. And the scale compounds fast. A single pair of mice can produce up to 10 litters a year. What starts as one or two animals slipping through a gap, the width of a pencil can become a full colony living inside your walls before anyone notices a thing. There's also a health dimension that goes beyond property damage. Rodents are known carriers of more than 24 diseases transmissible to humans, including hantavirus, which some species of mice carry directly in their urine and droppings. Cleaning up after a serious infestation isn't just a cosmetic job. In bad cases, it requires the same kind of protective equipment professionals use for hazardous material. If you watched our episodes on termites or expansive soil, you already know those threats concentrate in specific regions: warm coastlines, reactive clay states. Rodents don't play by those rules. Mice and rats are found in essentially every state, every climate, every type of home, from city apartments to rural farmhouses. There are two main offenders in most American homes, and they don't even behave the same way. Roof rats are strong climbers, and they typically nest high. Attics, upper crawl spaces, the space between your ceiling and your roof. Norway rats do the opposite. They stay low, burrowing near foundations and slipping in through gaps at ground level. House mice can nest almost anywhere in between, including behind appliances and inside wall voids most homeowners never open. The entry points are often absurdly small. A mouse can squeeze through a gap about the width of a pencil. A rat needs a little more room, but not much. About the size of a quarter is enough. There's also a seasonal pattern worth watching for. Infestations spike sharply in fall and winter as outdoor rodent populations look for warmth and shelter. Right around the same time, homes start closing their windows and running their heating systems, which means the highest risk season is also the season homeowners are least likely to be outside checking their own foundation for new gaps. Now here's where this gets genuinely dangerous, not just expensive. Fire investigators and pest researchers estimate that rodents chewing through electrical wiring are linked to somewhere between 20 and 25% of house fires with an undetermined cause. It's a number that can never be exact, for an unfortunate reason. the evidence tends to burn along with the house. The insurance story here is more complicated than the last 2 episodes, and worth understanding carefully. Standard homeowners insurance typically doesn't cover the infestation itself, or the cost of replacing wiring the rodents already damaged. That's treated as a maintenance issue, same as termites and foundation movement. But if that damaged wiring later causes an actual fire, the resulting fire damage is usually covered because it falls under a different category entirely. Fire peril, not pest damage. In other words, the rat isn't covered. What the rat starts might be. Professional extermination for a residential rodent problem typically runs between about $170 and $600, depending on the severity and how many visits it takes. That's the cheap version. Once wiring, insulation, or subflooring needs to be replaced, costs climb much higher, and quickly. There's a quieter cost, too. Once rodents get into wall or attic insulation, they don't just leave droppings behind, they flatten and shred it, breaking down its ability to hold heat or cool air. Homeowners sometimes notice their energy bills creeping up for months before ever finding the source, because the damage happens completely out of sight. There's also a resale consequence most sellers don't see coming. Homes with a documented history of rodent infestation have been shown to sell for at least 9% less than comparable homes without one. And that's assuming the sale doesn't stall entirely while buyers negotiate repairs first. The signs are usually small and easy to dismiss individually. Small droppings in cabinets or along baseboards, shredded paper, fabric, or insulation gathered somewhere out of the way, nesting material, gnaw marks on wood, wiring, or stored food packaging. A faint, persistent smell in one part of the house that nobody can quite place. Any one of these on its own could mean almost nothing. Together, especially if they show up in the same part of the house, they're worth taking seriously, and worth a professional inspection before the damage moves from annoying to expensive. That sound from the beginning of this episode, the soft scratching above the ceiling, isn't unusual. It isn't even rare. It's one of the most common, least talked about problems living inside American homes right now. Mostly because it happens somewhere nobody thinks to look until the bill, or the fire department, shows up first. If you've ever heard that sound and told yourself it was nothing, this is the episode where we're telling you. It's worth checking. Next time we're staying small, but going outside to an insect that can quietly cost homeowners even more than termites in the wrong conditions, and that most people can't tell apart from an ordinary ant until it's too late.